Now, I am really, really excited to say hello to my next guest. Let's say hello to Cheryl Fergison. Hello.
Hello, Lewis, and all you lovely listeners out there in Penwith. How are you all?
Very good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yep, having a lovely day out with my family at the moment, and doing this lovely little interview. So it's great.
I mean, life must be quite hectic for you at the moment. I mean, literally, like, you must be getting loads of people coming up to you in the street saying, "Oh, we really missed the character," because.
Yeah, well, I've not long died, and I've not long been put underground. So it's a bit. They kind of do a double take, really, because they can't quite believe, is it the ghost of Heather walking around, really? But it is quite amusing. But then, it's lovely because they've really enjoyed watching the character for the last 5 years, and and it's always lovely to get a response on the street from people. So it's good fun. It's been great,
But I mean, your character was is Eastenders one of most loved characters ever. I mean, Heather Trott, she wouldn't do anything bad for anyone. So how was that like for you to play that?
She wouldn't harm a fly, really. To be quite honest, I always called her ever hopeful because she was always knocked down, and she was always, she came back up again and knocked down and came back up again. So she was always hopeful, and I think people saw a lot of themselves in her. I mean, there's lots of things about that character that people could identify with. They might not have identified with the whole character, but just there were obviously bits of her. She was a single mum. She had to work hard for to keep her sort of little boy. She had a best friend, and that was who she relied on. She had people who treated her badly. She was bullied. There's lots and lots of things that people could, I think, identify with, and that's why I think she was so loved. You know what I mean? I think that they thought, there's a little bit maybe of me in there somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So.
And there is a question I do want to ask you, because Heather was literally obsessed with George Michael, and I was wondering, did you ever get to meet him because of that?
No, I haven't. Do you know what? I haven't actually met him yet, which I'm waiting to do this because. But he has been. It's been so nice. I've had a really nice response from him, and he's actually sort of sent me a few little presents and things and signed stuff, and so that's been really good. And I'm actually going to see him at his concert. He sort of had, he was not very well, and now he's redone he's booked his concert. So we've been given some tickets to go and see him from his management, which is lovely. So we're going to go and say, and hopefully get to say hello for the first time. But I nearly got to see him when Linda Henry, who plays Shirley, and myself. We did a little mischievous thing that ended up actually becoming a storyline for my character, which was we played a bit of knockdown ginger on George Michael's house up in Highgate. We sort of, Linda said to me, I dare you to ring his buzzer on the gates of his house, and I went. And I hate, it's terrible. You get a dare, don't you? And you have to do it. It's terrible. So I did. I pressed this buzzer, and basically she ran off and left me standing there like an idiot. And this big sort of sash window opened, and out popped these two marigolds. And I thought, oh my goodness, it's George. And it wasn't. It actually was this house maid or whatever they were, house cleaner, I don't know. And she come running down going, oh, George is really sorry. He would have loved to have met you, but you missed him. He's gone out. And then Linda came back then when all the coast was clear, but she left me standing there, sort of having played knockdown ginger on George Michael's house.
There was also an episode where Heather Trott, she found like a yogurt lid that belonged.
That's right. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The storyline was we actually went to the bosses and told them. Well, Linda said, "Oh, guess what we did? We played knockdown ginger at the real George Michael's house," and they turned it into Heather and Shirley going and breaking into George Michael's gardens, and there was this whole episode where Shirley had done it for Heather, and Heather thought that it was George Michael's house, and she sort of looked through his bins, being the obsessed fan that she was, and found this yogurt pot lid that she was absolutely convinced that George Michael had licked. So she had it laminated and worn around her neck. And there was lots of consequences after that, I think. I think baby George was born due to the yogurt pot lid episode.
I love that. Also for you, what was your favourite moment? Because you had and obviously working with Linda Henry, because you two seemed to get on so well, because I watched it like an after show on BBC Three, and she really got very emotional when it was your last scene. Yeah,
and I think people don't expect that from Linda, because they think, oh, she's a tough cookie, but actually, I made friends with Linda as soon as I clapped eyes on her. I didn't kind of know her from beforehand. She'd done all Bad Girls, and then I joined Bad Girls for a couple of episodes after she'd left. So we kind of missed each other, and then met on the set. The very first day of my filming of EastEnders, and going in and trying costumes on. And I just remember thinking, this is like one of my heroes. She's an amazing woman, and I can't believe I'm going to be playing her best friend in it. So we clicked really, really well, and we've been very good friends for since day one, and we still continue. She phones me up now. I'm not there anymore, but every day we talk to each other on the phone, and we see each other at least once a week if we can. And of course, Steve McFadden, who has lovely Cornwall connections. Steve McFadden's like my big brother, so it's basically Linda and Steve that I miss the most. There, but everybody, I miss them all. But Linda and Steve is who I sort of are what I call my big brother and big sister there. So.
Oh, I'm also really lucky enough to have a signed picture from Heather Trott.
Have you?
So I'm literally such a big fan, and I write I send off for these cast picture things you get.
Oh, you're the stalker.
I'm the stalker, and I got a lovely one of lovely Heather in I can't remember what it was, but one of the amazing fashion.
Oh no, it's the only fashion. It's that top. Do you know what's very strange though? That's the same. The picture you're referring to, which is their cast cards, which we have made, was one of the first tops that they ever put me in, and was actually the one I got murdered in. So it's quite interesting. For the whole 5 years, I've kind of lived in this psychedelic top that has kind of, which I wanted to kind of burn at the end, because it was one of those ones that, if I ever see this top again, it's like, but you know what, it's got fond memories, and I think that they were going to give me a sort of a bit of the fabric when I left, but I never managed to get a bit of it. But no, so you've got a picture somewhere there, have you?
So,
what, do you throw darts at it?
No.
You're doing well, aren't you?
How did you get the part in EastEnders? Did you? Because you also played you had a minor part before the part of Heather.
I played this woman who was in prison when Kat was little. I was a friend of Big Mo, and in prison. So I was in prison, and Big Mo was visiting, obviously because she's got a dodgy past and background. And Kat Slater was in prison, and that's when you knew that's where she had been for the last however many years it was. And it was 2 years before I joined as Heather that I played this sort of this woman, this criminal, this inmate. And then 2 years later, my agent got this phone call saying that there'd been a part written called Heather Trott, and the casting director, Julia Crampsey, just thought it would be ideal for me to come up for. So I went and read for it, and really fortunate enough to get the job. And I learned I got the part of Heather when I was in Asda shopping, and I was there with my trolley full of stuff, including the freezer stuff, and then my agent phoned me in the middle and said, "Cheryl, you've got the job." I had to leave it. I felt terrible. I had to leave my whole trolley full of shopping in Asda's and run outside because I was so excited. And anyway, but
that's going to be front page of the papers now.
Oh, well,
CCTV
you know
footage.
What? There's lots of front pages of the papers, and you know what? You never don't believe what you read.
We were talking about this. I mean, because my friends were texting me saying that they've read this article and stuff, but like you said, don't believe everything you read.
No, well, they said I was married to a goat herder. Well, that's not true at all. I mean, I like goat's milk, but I'm certainly not married to a goat herder. Do you know what? The press will write things, and it's sensationalism, and until it comes from the horse's mouth, I wouldn't believe a word anything says from anybody. So do you know what? It's like a kind of wait and see. I don't even know what's happening with my life, Lewis. Do you know what I mean? Let alone anybody else. I mean, it's obviously everybody else seems to know what's going on before I don't even know what's going on. So, just look at it as good old fish and chip paper, as they say.
Are you linked to Loose Women? Are you going to be where?
Yes, I was lucky enough to become a panellist, actually a guest panellist, one of the Lucy Women, which the other week, and it was brilliant. I had great fun because, as you can tell, probably I do like chatting. So it was quite nice to be paid to have a chat. But it was funny, isn't it? Because everybody's opinions are different, and it's one of those things that Amy Childs was on, one of the Only Way is Essex young girl, and Matt Lucas, so that you can get two different people, really, if you tried, could you, as guests that were on there. So it was very interesting. They sat me next to Amy Childs, and obviously the difference, that it was actually a very funny interview, and I did have a lot of fun there. And I think they're sort of like it was Soap Week, so basically they had me in as a guest panelist, and they had Natalie Cassidy in that way, various other soapy people. Not soapy people, that sounds bad, doesn't it?
It makes you sound very hygienic.
It does. It makes me sound like I'm minging, doesn't it? Sound like I'm minging. So basically, and it was just one of those lovely days, and I really did enjoy it, and it would be quite nice if they asked me to go back, because I would quite like to do that. But
you'd be perfect.
For a while, it was fun. So, so being a loose woman for the day was quite exciting.
And I mean, apart from, because you mentioned Matt Lucas, you've starred in shows like Little Britain, Doctor Who, and Hello Hello. So would you say you came from an acting background?
No, there's nobody in my family that are actors. I mean, I just was a show-off, really, when I was young. I think that's what it was, when I was little. And I was always entertaining the folk. We had an old people's sort of home thing at the back of my house when I was growing up, and I taught myself to play the guitar. I'd literally, my mum, who's now no longer here, bless her, but she described me as going upstairs and coming down and playing the guitar after a year. So I was always a bit of a show-off, and I would charge 2p and make my mum make a cup of tea for the old ladies and the old gentlemen in the old people's home. They'd come out in the garden, and I'd sing songs to them. I'd learn, like, sort of what I called old songs, what I thought were old songs, and my mum used to sit and make cups of tea for them, and I used to charge 2p to entertain them. Or they could have squash as well. They could have squash, but they had a cup of tea. And so it's kind of started from an early age, really, just sort of this sort of entertaining bit, because I am a musician. I like to write music and will play lots of instruments and sing. So it started like that, and obviously being a bit of a show-off, I like doing all the usual school drama things, and then went to drama school when I was older. So it was always, when people always say, "Oh, it's not a proper job. Don't do it. It's not a proper job." And it is a dream, and it's a goal. And I think that anybody who wants to do do anything within this thing, just don't listen to people who say you can't do anything. And that applies to everything in the world, I think. Just don't listen to them. That if you set your mind to something and you really want to do it, you can. And do you know what's even stranger? That my drama teacher, now lives in Cornwall. And when I went to school, and he was one of my inspirations to actually become part of my drama, and he's now head of a school in Falmouth. So so it's amazing. So and he comes to visit, and he's kind of followed my career, Mr. Merritt. I have to call him Mr. Merritt, Mr. Ben Merritt, at school, and he's followed my career, and he's been to see me in lots of things, and just basically supported me. And he came recently to my when I got married recently. He came to my wedding party and stuff. So it's just. Having those people and that inspiration, that's what you need, basically. So just keep going. That's what it was. I'm waffling on, aren't I? Didn't I waffle, Lewis?
I honestly, it's such a pleasure to be speaking to you. But I got to ask you, what's next for you now? Anything you can tell us about?
I've been, there's lots of things. I always say this, don't I? What's the usual line? There's loads of stuff in the pipeline. That's the one that they say, isn't it?
I hear that one a lot.
I never understood that. What does that mean? Does it stuff in the pipeline mean like it's clogged up? I don't know. I always thought, you need to say something else to make it sound more positive than negative. No, there is, I think, some really nice, exciting projects that I've been offered, and stuff that I'm sort of mulling over at the moment. And my agent has had lots of really nice offers in for me. That includes theatre and bits of telly and stuff. And I think if you just can keep your head above water and just take your time to just reflect on, playing Heather for the last 5 years is actually amazing. But you now need to think about doing something that people don't see you as Heather anymore. And you're going to be shouting, you're going to be shouted Heather for the next however many years. I mean, Anita Dobson still gets Angie, 20-odd years down the line. Do you know what I mean? So I think, that's a great sort of, that's a great thing for your character if somebody, has taken, you're in people's hearts and minds like that. But I think it's important that you show people that you can do other things, and that, like I said, I've got my music, so that was recently shown on This Morning. I was singing one of my songs on there, and that I write, and I have a chat with people like Ollie Murs every now and again, and say, we have a laugh with him and say we should do a duet, and it always, I might put in George Michael's mind. That could be quite a laugh, couldn't it? Have a little duet with Georgie. But there's lots of things really happening, and I just think it's a time for me to just sit with my family at the minute and just reflect and have a bit of family time and recharge my batteries and ready for the next. So,
look, really looking forward to seeing your upcoming projects, and it honestly has been such a pleasure.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I've got two people who, there's just two names. They were dying if you could just say hello to them.
Of course, go on.
They're called Lee and Nick.
Okay, Lee, hello. I don't know, is Lee a boy or a girl?
He's a boy.
And is Nick a boy or a girl?
He's a boy too.
Nick and Lee, my two boys, I'd like to say hello to you. And you can make them, I think they can be in charge of cheese and crackers when I come down.
Definitely.
Okay.
That's cool. Right. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Take care and love to all your listeners.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.